The night the island appeared, the world thought it was a storm. Satellites first spotted it in the middle of the Atlantic, a massive landmass rising from the dark water glowing with strange blue light. At first, governments believed it was a natural disaster, but within hours something impossible happened. People with powers began hearing a call, not with their ears, in their minds. Across the world, thousands of Astra-born felt the same message. Come home. Ships, planes, and portals carried them across the ocean. Some were heroes, some were outcasts. Some had spent their entire lives hiding what they could do, but when they reached the island, the living ground shifted beneath their feet, like it recognized them. The island had a name, Astra Isla. For the first time in history, people with powers had their own nation. No governments hunting them, no cities fearing them. Just one land built for them alone. But a nation cannot survive without leaders. So 12 of the most powerful and influential Astra-born gathered at the center of the island. They sat around a strange circular table shaped like a glowing star. They called themselves the Council of Astra Isle. 4 groups, 12 rulers, 1 living island. They promised to build a perfect future. But the truth was far more dangerous. Because when power like this gathers in one room, history is never written in peace. The Council of Astra Isle looked perfect on the surface. 12 leaders, 1 table, 1 shared dream. But behind that unity was a fragile balance of power. The council was divided into 4 groups. Each group had 3 members, and each represented a very different vision of what the future of Astra-born should be. The first group was called the Autumn Circle. These were the legendary leaders who had guided Astra-born for decades. At the center was Dr. Elias Vale, a calm strategist who believed Astra-born and humans could coexist. Beside him sat Magnor, a powerful warrior who believed Astra-born should rule their own destiny without human control. The third seat belonged to Archon the Ancient, a mysterious figure who had lived for centuries and believed strength should decide who leads. Then came the Summer Circle. These were the heroes, the protectors people trusted, Tempestra, Master of Storms, Nocturne, the silent teleporting guardian, and Aurora Blaze, a powerful light wielder loved by many young Astra-born, but not every seat was filled by heroes. The Winter Circle was something else entirely. These members represented the darker side of Astra history. Mirashade, a master of disguise and secrets. Dr. Virex, a brilliant genetic scientist with questionable ethics. And High Zealot Orion, a fanatic who believed Astra-born were superior to all humans. Finally there was the Spring Circle. The people who controlled power through wealth and influence. Led by the sharp and brilliant Alara Frost, the trade queen of Astra Isle. Together, these 12 leaders ruled a brand new nation. But their visions for the future were already beginning to clash. At first, Astra Isle looked like a miracle. Within months, the small island nation became one of the most powerful places on Earth. The Astra-born were no longer scattered across the world. They were united, organized, and stronger than ever before. But the real turning point came from something hidden deep within the island itself. Astra Isle was alive. Its strange living plants began producing rare biological compounds, substances no human science had ever seen. When Astra scientists studied them, they made a shocking discovery. These compounds could cure diseases, not just simple illnesses. They could heal nerve damage, restore failing organs, and even slow aging. For the first time, Astra Isle held something every human nation desperately wanted, and the Council knew exactly how to use it. Under the leadership of Alara Frost and the Spring Circle, Astra Isle began trading these miracle medicines with the outside world. In exchange, human governments were forced to recognize Astra Isle as an independent nation. Some countries agreed immediately, others resisted. When those nations refused to allow Astra-born citizens to leave, the Council created a new solution: a rescue fleet. Led by Captain Kale Stormrider, a fearless Astra-born who commanded a fast black ship that could cross the ocean in days. His crew traveled the world secretly extracting Astra-born trapped in hostile nations. Every rescue made Astra Isle stronger. But as their influence grew, so did something else: ambition. Because some members of the Council were beginning to realize that Astra Isle wasn't just a safe haven. It could become something far greater. The balance of Astra Isle changed the day death stopped meaning the same thing. Deep beneath the island, scientists from the Council made a discovery that shocked even them. By combining several Astra-born abilities together, they found a way to do something no civilization had ever achieved. They could bring people back from the dead. The process was complex and carefully guarded. Special chambers were grown from the living matter of the island. Genetic records of every Astra-born were stored inside a vast biological archive. When someone died, their body could be rebuilt and their memories restored. Life could begin again. At first, the Council kept the secret hidden. Only a few trusted Astra-born knew about the resurrection system. But eventually the truth spread across the island, and everything changed. Fear disappeared from Astra society. Warriors fought with new confidence. Dangerous missions suddenly felt less impossible. Even political debates inside the Council became more intense. After all, when death is no longer permanent, people start taking bigger risks. To maintain order, the council created 3 simple laws for Astra Isle. First, create more Astraborn. Second, do not kill humans. Third, honor the living island that protects them. The laws were simple, almost ancient in tone. But behind them was a growing tension. Because resurrection had created a dangerous question. If Astraborn could never truly die, who would control the future of their entire species? The first sign of trouble came from inside the council itself. For years, Dr. Virex had quietly served on the Winter Circle. To most citizens of Astra Isle, he was simply the island's greatest genetic scientist. The man who helped build the resurrection system, the man who understood Astra DNA better than anyone alive. But Virex had never been interested in simply understanding Astraborn. He wanted to perfect them. Hidden beneath one of Astra Isle's deepest laboratories, Virex had been running secret experiments using samples collected from every resurrection. Each time an Astraborn returned to life, the system briefly recorded their complete genetic structure. Virex copied those records. Piece by piece, he began building something new. A master genetic blueprint. A design that could reshape the entire Astra population. His theory was simple. If the resurrection system could rebuild bodies, then it could also change them. Improve their abilities. Remove weaknesses. Create stronger Astraborn. But that wasn't the true danger. Because buried deep within the code of his design was a hidden control sequence. A genetic key. If activated, it would allow Virex to influence the minds of every Astraborn resurrected through the system. An entire nation. Quietly rewritten. The discovery happened by accident. During a routine system scan, Captain Kale's security team found fragments of altered code hidden inside the resurrection archives. At first they thought it was a bug. Then, they traced the source. Straight back to a member of the council. Dr. Virex. And suddenly the leaders of Astra Isle realized something terrifying. The man who understood their biology better than anyone might already hold the power to control them all. The emergency meeting lasted all night. Inside the council chamber, the 12 seats were filled, but the unity that once defined Astra Isle was gone. Every member stared at the holographic data floating above the table. The proof was undeniable. Dr. Virex had been rewriting the resurrection system. Not completely, not yet, but enough to show what his final plan would become. Control. If his hidden genetic key was activated, every Astraborn resurrected in the future could slowly fall under his influence. Their memories would remain. Their personalities would stay the same, but deep inside their DNA, a silent command would exist. A command only Virex could trigger. At first, the council believed they could quietly remove him and repair the system. But the damage was already spreading. The security breach had leaked across Astra Isle's networks. Within hours, the entire nation knew. Crowds gathered across the island's living cities. Some demanded Virex's execution. Others blamed the council for allowing such a dangerous scientist into power in the first place. Trust collapsed overnight. The heroes of the Summer Circle tried to calm the people, but fear had already taken hold. Citizens began asking the question no one had dared to ask before. If the council chose the leaders of Astra Isle, then who was watching the council? By sunrise, protests filled the capital. A nation built on unity was now divided. And inside the council chamber, a far worse truth slowly settled over the room. Even if they stopped Virex, the people of Astra Isle might never trust their rulers again. By the next evening, Astra Isle stood on the edge of collapse. Thousands of citizens filled the great plaza outside the council tower. The living buildings around them pulsed with dim blue light, almost as if the island itself could feel the tension in the air. Inside the chamber, the council sat in silence. For the first time since Astra Isle was founded, none of them knew what to do. Tempestra from the Summer Circle spoke first. She had spent the entire day among the crowds, listening to the fear and anger spreading across the island. The people don't trust us anymore, she said quietly. Not after this. Magnor slammed his hand on the table. Then we remind them who built this nation. But Dr. Elias Vale slowly shook his head. That would destroy everything. The truth was simple. Astra Isle had been created as a sanctuary for all Astraborn. A place where no single ruler would dominate the future. But the council had become exactly that. A small group holding enormous power. If they tried to keep control now, Astra Isle could fall into civil conflict. Silence filled the chamber again. Then Elias Vale made a decision no one expected. We stepped down. The room froze. If the people believe the council cannot be trusted, he continued, then the council must no longer exist. One by one the members looked at each other. Some in shock, some in anger, but deep down they all knew the truth. The only way to save Astra Isle was for its rulers to give up their power. The announcement spread across Astra Isle within minutes. Every screen, every network, every communication channel carried the same message from the council tower. The council of Astra Isle was stepping down. For a moment the island fell into complete silence. Crowds in the capital stopped shouting. Rescue ships paused in the harbor. Even the glowing forests surrounding the city seemed to hold their breath. Inside the chamber, the 12 leaders stood together one last time. They had built this nation from nothing. They had united Astra born across the world. They had protected the island through war, politics, and impossible decisions. And now they were ending their own rule. Dr. Virex had already been removed and placed in permanent containment deep beneath the island. His genetic code had been erased from the resurrection system, but the damage to the people's trust could not be erased so easily. Dr. Elias Vale stepped onto the balcony overlooking the city. "We created Astra Isle so our people could live free," he said to the crowd below. "If freedom means choosing new leaders, then that is the future we must accept." Slowly, the council members removed their symbols of office. For the first time since the island appeared, Astra Isle no longer had rulers. But as the former council walked away from the tower, dark clouds gathered on the horizon. Because the world beyond Astra Isle had been watching. And without its powerful council, the island nation had just become more vulnerable than ever. Comment 1 for the next part.